Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate Savvy on Northwest Digital News with Susan Wood. I'm Kevin Hunter, Susan Wood in the middle, and Kyle Torgerson over on the end making the tech happen on the broadcast. We're going to have some conversation about some crazy myths that your clients probably believe about the real estate business. Let's start with number one. Real estate agents are paid a salary.
No. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
I think it would be nice.
A lot of people think that real estate agents are paid a salary.
They do. I've had that conversation multiple times. Real estate agents work for free until we sell a home. And then oftentimes buyers think they are the ones that pay the buyer's agent, and it's actually the selling or the seller that pays the buyer's agent. So nope, we actually pay to work for the companies we work for.
So this ties in with a second myth that the agent keeps all the commission.
Also a huge myth.
Yes.
A huge myth. Every agency is different, and you have different scales that you can go on. So for instance, in our company, you have a sliding scale of a 30-70, so you're paying the company 30% of your commission, and you keep 70, and then that's up to a certain amount. So it would be, in this case, $32,000 that you need to pay to the company before you end up at a 90-10 split, and that's a split you never get past. And you'll have a year to get there, and then after that year's up, you go back to the same split. And we have a 60-40 again. You keep 60, they get 40, and that brings you down to about $28,000. And then it's a 50-50, and that's about $25,000. And then you move to the 90-10. But after that year, you go right back to that same split. So not only are you paying to work there monthly, what we call a desk fee, and it usually runs anywhere from, gosh, $200 per month to, it varies. I mean, I've had one up to $2,500 a month, which is more than most people's mortgage. And then I also pay the splits on top of that of every home that I sell. So no, we do not get to keep it.
Don't get to keep the commission, or all the commission, yes.
No, it's a very, very small, minute amount actually of that commission that we're truly keeping. That's why we have to sell so many homes to actually make the business work. And
why there's a big evolving door in the real estate business.
Amen.
Yes.
It's a very expensive hobby.
All right, so another common myth, typical commission is 6%. Right?
No.
Wrong.
Wrong. Depends upon your area. Every area is completely different, and every agent is completely different. So it can go from, vacant land is roughly anywhere from 7 to 10%. I've seen as high as 12%. It just depends. When you're selling a home, it can range from 5 to 7%. You do have what we call discount brokers that'll do it for 1.5%, but you get exactly what you pay for. And typically, there are those hidden fees. So they have lockbox fees that they charge you per month. They have marketing fees, signage fees, flyer fees, picture fees, fees. Oh, and some more fees. And so when all is said and done, unless your house sells immediately, then you are past the point of 5 or 6% when all is said and done. And then you also have to pay the buyer's broker on top of it. So you're not saving any money.
So it's kind of like the hiring Joe's Stork service to fly you from Portland to Minneapolis, and you get this really cheap flight, but they charge you for every bag, and they charge you for the peanuts they give you, and they charge you for absolutely everything. So by the time you get there, you go, I should have just flown
Alaskan or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I should have just flown the other. And you're right. So that's kind of how it happens. Okay, myth number 4: the agent's gas mileage and other transportation expenses are reimbursed.
I wish. No. I put
Tax deductible, maybe.
It is. So I've put 60,000 miles on my car in a year, and I wish somebody would write me a check for that. No. That is all part and parcel of doing our job. All of that is, I'd like to say, free to whoever we're working with, because it is. Again, unless we sell something, we don't make a dime. So every bit of gas, every bit of mileage, everything we do, every bit of marketing, it's all part and parcel. So when we talk about how much of that we really get to take home from the 6% or whatever, we don't even look at how much we spent in gas, time, mileage, anything. Even with a seller, even though you're just going back and forth to their house, there's so much that goes into it. And in all actuality, I sat down with a couple who asked me to cut my commission just recently. And the commission, just for total unveiling, was $16,000. I have to split half of that with my company, so it's $8,000. I've got to pay B&O taxes of 2.2 or 2.5. I've got to pay 30.32% in not Social Security, but self-employment tax, my L&I, my Social Security. And so when it all came down, not including every bit of gas mileage of going up there, but just the marketing, I made $2,900 of $16,000.
Yeah.
That's nothing for...
That's paring it down pretty significantly.
It was, and again, not including all that other stuff. So when I looked at it, I mean, if you were to divide that for how many weeks this home took me to sell, which was almost 3 months, I made far less than minimum wage. And then they wanted me to cut my commission.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, absolutely not.
We say, but I am willing to double my money and add $2,900 back to the commissions.
Yeah. And he actually has to sell the home because he's being transferred for higher money. And that was one of the things I did explain to him. I said, would you want to move to a new place and you go through the entire expense of moving to that place, all out of your own pocket? And then when it came to payday, they said, you know, we decided we're going to cut your commission, or we're going to cut your pay in half. I said, would you sign up for that?
Not really.
And he goes, no. I said, nor would I. And he goes, well, now that you put it down in such a reference, I completely understand where you're coming from. And so those are complete myths to what we do and what we pay.
I'm going to jump over one here because marketing expenses aren't the agent's responsibility. Of course they are. I want to talk about this next one on the list, a major myth. Home passes or fails inspection.
There's no such thing as a pass or fail inspection. Inspection is
just an inspection.
Just an inspection. One person's eyes spending about 2 hours, sometimes a little bit more, on looking at an entire home. And I recently said to an agent, when we talked about this exact same thing, I said, I spend more time on my home cleaning it than one person comes in and inspecting it from top to bottom. So of course, it's one person's eyes on an entire home, and they're not going to see everything. So there's no such thing as a pass or a fail of an inspection. There's just an inspection. Just, hey, this is what I found.
And you read it, and you either like what it says or you don't.
Amen.
One of the two. Myth number 7 here ties into this. It says inspectors have to find something, don't they?
In their eyes, they do, but when I hire or when I'm with an inspector, I want them to point out what's going to be most important, and that's primarily anything that's safety-wise. I don't care that the light bulb is burnt out in the kitchen or that the sink maybe even runs a little hot. I want to know that, you know, I'm not dealing with pest and dry rot, and I want to know that my roof is good, and I want to know my plumbing's good and my electrical's good. Those are the things that really are the nuts and bolts about the home that I think most people want to know. Not that I need to change my light bulb.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Myth number 8, weekends bring out the most serious buyers. I would actually think the reverse of this would be true.
You're right. Brings out the most looky-loos.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm so excited I cleaned my house.
I got time off, you know, so essentially I have no skin in the game relative to my important time. And let's just go out and shop.
Right. And it doesn't. You're really, truly, your most serious buyers are through the week because they're getting off of work and they're like, oh gosh, I really want to see this house before it sells. And if you're waiting till the weekend or an open house, they're really not serious buyers. They're just kind of, if I like it, I might put an offer. If not, that's okay. Like you said, there's no skin in the game. But I will drag my real estate agent around with me, even though I really don't want to look at it at the same time, which is fine. That's what we're in the business to do.
Myth number 9, Zillow says, therefore it is. I think of Zillow a little bit kind of like the Wikipedia of real estate.
That's an amazing analogy. I never thought about it.
It's got a tongue-in-cheek, and in some categories they can be spot on, and other categories are like so freaking wrong, it's unreal. I had a long-time member of the medical and pharmaceutical industry that shared a term with me. It's called astroturfing. And she said that the medical industry astroturfs in Wikipedia all the time, meaning if you think of astroturf, it's fake grass, right?
Yeah.
So astroturfing is medical fake news in Wikipedia. She said 90% of what's on Wikipedia that has anything to do with medical stuff is wrong, purposefully wrong.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's being astroturfed by the pharmaceutical industry. See, when I think of Zillow sometimes, I'm like, it's the Wikipedia of the real estate business.
It is. So with Zillow, if you really want to know how wrong it is, keep your eye on a home that you like and watch it sell and see if their Zestimate is even remotely close to what it sells for.
Yes.
Their Zestimate. It is generally off tremendously. And so, unfortunately, that is our biggest battle, is Zillow. Well, Zillow says this, so we don't want to offer on it because Zillow says this, or Zillow says this about my house, so that it must be worth this, even though it's an overinflated price. And sometimes underinflated, but typically overinflated. And, or Zillow says that it should only be worth this, so we're not going to offer on it. It's a third-party company that's doing a bunch of algorithms to come up with a price. There's no bearing behind it, unfortunately. I wish it was that easy to make my job easier. I'd just go to Zillow to price a home then. I wouldn't have to do all the work that I have to go through to look at it and figure out truly what it's worth. I mean, gosh, that would be nice.
Myth number 10, it is better to price a home on the high side as the seller can always come down. This is a common car selling strategy.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily apply to houses.
It is the worst thing you can do. And typically speaking, you'll have somebody say, oh, well, I'd like to price my house at $425,000 or whatever the price may be. I'll take $380,000. It's like, well, nobody's going to insult you by offering you $380,000 on your home. Typically speaking, it's not something to do. If you really want to sell your home, these are the questions I say. So you don't want to sell your home? Well, of course I want to sell my home. That's why I called you.
Yeah.
Well, then let's price it to sell. Well, I don't want to leave money on the table. You're not leaving money on the table that's never there. So it is one of the worst things you can do is high price your home. You can push the market a little. There's nothing wrong with that. But going so astronomically over what it's worth is not good for you. And you'll actually end up with less money when all's said and done. So it's not a good idea.
You know, to that point, we were actually visiting with a car customer on another broadcast here on Northwest Digital News, and he had mentioned how far he had traveled to go look at a vehicle that was priced at $13,426. Now, if that vehicle had been listed at $14,000, he wouldn't have made the drive because he already found a vehicle. So it's not like, so this applies here again, is that whatever it is you're selling, and especially in these major purchases like a home, your house needs to be priced at what the fair market value actually is. And that goes up and down all the time.
All the time. With every sale of a home. We actually have a client that they had an appraisal done on their home, and it, I think, was $575 is what the appraisal said. And so she in turn says to me, well, I want to put it on the market for $625. So for $50,000 more than it truly appraised for. Now, having an appraisal before you put it on the market is silly anyways, but this is something she did decide to do. So in turn, I say, well, why would somebody pay $50,000 more for your home than it appraised for? She goes, well, if they really love it, they will. That's nonsense.
Sounds like she's locked in on that selling mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't want to leave anything on the table.
Myth number 11, when making an offer on a home, you need to start with a low offer. Lowball them. Myth.
No, you don't want to offend anybody. Typically speaking, we have done some serious amount of time and effort to know how to price a home. And so we are within a very close margin of what it's going to appraise for. So when you lowball somebody, especially if it's new on the market, you offend the seller, and the seller typically will not respond to you. And so if it's a home you really want, put in an offer that you really think is fair for the home. As we stated before, a seller wants to leave no money on the table, and a buyer doesn't want to put as much money on the table as they can. So be fair. I mean, I prefer working with somebody that says, you know, here's what I'm willing to offer, and nothing more, nothing less. So you already know when you bring it to the seller, here is their offer, period. That's it. There's no more left. And if that's something you want to accept, great. Done. If it's not, then great. Done. Then you just move forward.
Next myth is the longer a home is on the market, the more negotiable the deal. I have personal experiences where this isn't true at all. Not even close to being true.
Not even close to being true.
Yeah.
With every home, there's the right person. And especially with higher priced homes or unique homes, maybe is a better way to put it, then they sit on the market longer. And it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean the home isn't worth it. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Even if the home's empty, it doesn't mean that it's more negotiable. It just means that it hasn't come along the right buyer yet. So that is a total myth as well.
I know the myth that kind of ties into this is multiple price reductions mean the seller is desperate to sell. Actually, multiple price reductions can be because of either a rapidly declining or increasing market.
Right, absolutely. So when you look at somebody desperate to sell, honestly, I don't think I've ever met anybody desperate to sell except for somebody who is right prior to foreclosure. Other than that, they're never desperate.
Yeah.
And as I explain to buyers when they put an offer in it for like $30,000 less than it's on the market for, they're like, do you think they'll take it? It's like, well, and even cash, no. Would you wait 30 days to make $30,000? A pretty good payday. Or would you, because they think, oh, cash is king, and they'll accept my offer, it's $30,000 less, but at least they get paid right now. Well, if I have an offer of a financing for 30 days and I'm making $30,000, or a cash offer that I get less, $30,000 less, I'm going to wait my 30 days all day long.
Definitely.
That's a heck of a payday.
And somebody thinks that if they think they wouldn't wait for that to happen, I always ask them, what else are you going to do to earn a $30,000 bonus by waiting for 30 days?
Right.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's good money.
Yeah, it's very good money. Next myth is multiple offers give the seller an advantage.
No, that goes both ways. It can. It can give them an advantage, but on the other side of it, I know it's a very touchy subject. It's kind of hard to answer because as a buyer's agent, if you tell a buyer, well, they've got other offers on the table, it could go one way or another. They can go, oh, I'm not going to get into that bidding war. Or they could say, well, okay, I'll put this offer in, but it doesn't tell the seller, it doesn't give the seller any advantage. It just, you actually may lose all of the deals. If you go, well, I want highest and best, they all may go, well, I'm done. I don't want to offer at all. So no, it's a touchy subject. It just depends upon your seller and the situation. I think every seller is unique that way. Next
myth is all agents are the same, exactly the same. No difference, no.
Oh yeah. Oh, we all are. we're like little robots. No, I personally, pre-getting into real estate, I've spoke with many agents, even selling my own homes, and I had robotic ones that came out, I had the flared ones that came out with all the wing dinghies and the showmanship that goes along with it, and I have the ones that were realistic, I had the ones that were shy. For me, when I'm speaking to anybody, whether it's a buyer or seller, I want to make sure that they like me and I like them. So all agents are not the same. I'm not a used car salesman. And honestly, if I don't want to work with you, I won't. So I want the same respect out of my sellers and my buyers. If they don't want to work with me, I don't want to work with them. And they have to find somebody who is unique to them and somebody they trust. It's a big sell, and it's a big purchase. So if you don't trust them, don't work with them.
Well, I think what we've learned here by having this discussion today is that the real estate business is actually a very difficult business to crack into if you're a first-time agent. Very difficult business to make money in, even for somebody who's been in it for a while longer, and there's a ton to learn. And as we saw here, a lot of misinformation about the business.
A ton of misinformation. I wish it was a get-rich-quick scheme. And if it was, there would be more people doing it and less people not succeeding at it. So if you really think that, look at how many people come and go in my business, and they'll go, oh, okay, yeah, because it's a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, very expensive hobby.
If that's how you treat it.
All right, well, that's going to be a wrap here on Real Estate Savvy. Thanks to everybody who joined us. I'm Kevin Hunter, Susan Wood, and Kyle Torgeson. Kyle, take it away.
This concludes today's live programming on Northwest Digital News. Thanks for joining us for this special broadcast. Heard around the world in more than 70 countries on YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, Facebook, and Twitch TV. If you enjoyed a story or guest we had here on Northwest Digital News and would like to strut your stuff on the broadcast, email us today at wainfo2017@gmail.com or call or text 360-545-3501. We're always interested in unique stories, topics, and guests to share with our worldwide audience. Before you go, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and comment on the live stream. And for those of you who'd like to financially support the broadcast, you can do so at patreon.com/Northwest Digital News. We thank you for your patronage. On behalf of Chris Bornstead, Kyle Torgerson, Stephanie Hunter, and all the people that made this broadcast possible, I'm Kevin Hunter. Till next time, take care.